What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Then it's Ricky Gervais jokes that would get you fired. Then it's our general election one. Then it's Milton Jones. Then it's the Philosophy Bros. It's like very clearly we're in the comedy section, it's decided. And then it goes into Anthony Jeselnik this past weekend with Theo Von. I guess this past weekend is a different podcast with Theo Von.
Yeah.
For episode 466. Wow, they're doing well. Then funniest hosts on Have I Got News for You. Then Anthony Jeselnik, I don't know what that thing is. Anthony Jeselnik, ironically racist. Silly Wales Family. Perfecting roast jokes of Anthony Jeselnik, episode 28. 20th Century's Greatest Living Scientist. And then another Ricky Gervais's Insights on Iconic Wars. That is the demographic that is apparently created by this episode. Which I'm going to be honest, it's just the title. Like the title is just doing like so much heavy lifting for that particular decision by incognito, no account YouTube. The Diddy's collapse.
So if I keep this bit in
one.
the whole show, just for context, I probably will end up keeping this bit in. We were trying to figure out, or Joe's seeing what's recommended when you search up on like our name on YouTube or from the latest episode's video, because we noticed that the latest episode is doing really well views wise and like has engagement on it. So people have listened to it like at least halfway through, and the recommendations you just heard Joe say. So that is what we've been. That's what happens when you connect with Jeselnik. You know, that's all I'm gonna say.
I did wonder when you told me that the episode did well, that maybe because Anthony Jeselnik's name was in it, that might have done a little bit better than normal.
That's 100% the reason. Like,
yeah. I mean, just how it be. But what's hilarious is that you barely talk about it, considering what the title is, which is funny.
Which is I find really funny. So I'm gonna have to clip just that bit probably and put it up. I'm pretty sure like it's gotten a couple of dislikes. Because of it, and I was like, I need to cut the Anthony Jeselnik part out and make a separate video for that, just so people want to see that clip alone. But fucking, I didn't really. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think it matters, does it?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm going to have to do the intro. Welcome to Silly Wales. This is a mental health podcast. We discuss things to do with mental health and all that stuff, all the good and all the bad. This show is for everyone, but it might not be for you. And that's okay. It's okay. There's other things you can listen to. For example, Love Hate Music Box by Rainbow Kitten Surprise. That's just, that's an hour long of good music. You don't have to always indulge in everything. Okay. You don't have to always be a part of our little circle of the internet. You don't have to join our lighthouse.
I would almost recommend, please don't. Just be in our area of the internet. It's not the greatest area of the internet or of life in general.
Yeah. I nearly couldn't get out of the voice. The different, slight different voice I do. I was like, I'm going to be stuck in this for the whole thing. Oh no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Weeks are fun as they go by, and nothing is consistent in the week. Like, I'm gonna sound so fucking English right, but the change in the weather is killing me, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's gonna rain and then it's sunny. There's no consistency. When it starts raining, I want to wake up and the next day it's still raining. Okay, that's all I want.
I mean, to be fair, we've had quite a lot of rain over here, but it has been, oh, this is a really nice day until 12 o'clock, and then it rains for the rest of the day heavily. So it's a bit up and down. I haven't cycled as much as I was necessarily hoping for, but we'll deal with that.
I don't mind if it just starts raining throughout the day, sure. But if the whole day is raining, okay, and then if we wake up and it's sunny, Nah, the weather's got to stay the same for at least 2 days. You know, like give me some consistency. Give me the atomic nuclear family of weather.
The
Give me
thing is,
the stable household I deserve.
it's interesting because obviously we've both grown up in this country for our lives. And so neither of us really have an idea of what weather is like outside the UK to the extent you do technically, but you weren't that far away. Like being in France isn't exactly like miles of, you're on the same English channel. You're getting a lot of the similar effects of weather. And when I went to the southwest of France, which is near the Bay of Biscay, which is an incredibly stormy coastline, like the weather was fucking all over the place, even though it was summer. It made it very beautiful because obviously it's hot. It's a very hot place while also being drenched in water quite regularly. But like I've never lived somewhere where the weather is like consistent enough. You have to like ask people who have lived in other countries for most of their life, being like, "What's England like weather-wise?" Like when they're actually here, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's just weather is insane here," and you're like, "Oh okay, phew, we're
Yeah,
not mad."
I did live in Japan for about 2 months,
No, 2 months.
but
Yeah, 2 months.
like so I saw the summer to like I guess you can call it like I don't know if it's typhoon season is what was the right word for it. Like that style of weather that you end up getting the heavier amount in like Thailand and northern places. I saw like
Thing
the
is,
glimpses of that.
I think you're looking for monsoon.
Monsoon, there we go.
Monsoon, yeah.
There we go. A typhoon. Like, what's a
Lots.
typhoon?
A typhoon's a tornado, but yeah. Or no, a typhoon is a hurricane. Sorry, to be clear.
I don't know why I thought the tea bag.
A typhoon.
And then yeah, so like Japan was ridiculously hot to a point where if you go outside, you like are desperately like you're trying to survive until you go into a building. Every
Yeah,
building had air conditioning.
yeah. I have heard how hot it is in Japan. Like
This is during like the summertime.
yeah,
So
metal.
it was like I've never been that hot before. I think so. It's been even during the summer here, where it's like, oh, it's gonna get 32 degrees. I hated it. I hate the heat. Anything over 11 degrees, and I'm like, who am I fighting?
Well, Japan is also kind of a humid country, right? A bit like Britain.
Yeah, it's very humid. Thing is,
Yeah.
what I love about Japan is what I hate about. It's the thing I hate about this country. So Japan has air conditioning everywhere. This country does not.
Mm-hmm.
I the amount of buildings that are just not air conditioned. I'm so shocked. Like now I go into buildings. Why is this restaurant hot? like,
you cut out there for a little bit, but yeah, there's no. I don't see any reason why. I mean, most of the time we don't need it. I mean, that's true. I mean, right now I'm like, I do not need air conditioning now, and I probably won't for the next, I don't know, 6 months, and in 9 months probably. Like, I'm not going to need anything like air conditioning. So I get that some people have it, but most of the time, no. And it's generally like, oh, you're in a server room, or you have or like a computer room of some kind is where you'll see it the most, like in an office, or or you'll have it in shops, for example. That's the nice thing, actually. Working in the shop I work in, it was kind of nice having air conditioning.
But even that, like offices should just be standardly air conditioned. Why is there a desk fan on every single person's desk? Like air condition the fucking office, you know?
Oh, well, like my mum's,
great.
Yeah. I was gonna say my mum's office is you know where she works. Well, actually, I don't know if you do know where she works right at this very moment, but it's where I was born, so you know where she works.
Yeah, I know. We're not going to list the hospital, are we?
I mean, you can if you want to. I just meant like you know where it is. So, but she works like on the road nearby, like literally where the hospital is. One of the roads is where a bunch of the staff work, right? And it's like a bunch of houses essentially that have been turned into offices, like for different like therapists and workers, right? And like it. I'm just thinking now back to a conversation I was having with my mum the night before. Her describing what her office situation is like, where where everything is hot seated, and it's always been like that, so no one has a desk. it's like you have like 3 people share a desk or 2 people at the very minimum. And I think she said that like in her in like this 3 or 4 floor house essentially, that there are over the course of like because of shifts and things like that, I think about 80 people end up using it over a week, like 80 different people, but on not all at the same time necessarily. And they have to, and some that because of the jobs that they have, sometimes they leave the office, sometimes they come back. So there's times where it's less busy and more busy, but it's just fucking mad. Like, and in those places, I don't remember. I'm trying to remember right now if they have an air conditioning or not. And it's like it's an old enough house, it's an old enough building, and the NHS is a wonderful thing that I think we should be putting more money into. But as a result of the way that the government's been, it doesn't. And a lot of these places don't have even things like, like the fact that I'm describing a place in which, so many people are having to operate in the same space. There's like no, like, I don't even know if there's air conditioning. I think mum just has like a fan that she takes with her or a fan there or something. It might have AC, to be fair. They might have
Like
finally worked that one out. But I don't think it was
at
true when I
school,
was
man.
younger.
At school, so the school I work at currently, like when it's hot, they have to bring in like industrial fans, and well, those are pretty much industrial like air conditioning units, effectively. That's like I can't recall my fans a bit disingenuous. They're fucking huge. You have to have like the big, huge the tube that you have to hold out the window as it gets rid of all the warm air and all that shit. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like I love those things. I could do with one like 95% of my living time, and it's like I have a pocket van that's always on me. I was like, this is what I live for. Like, what I want is for it to be consistently cold. Like, it's my favorite time. I wake up, it's 4 degrees. I go to sleep, it's 3 degrees. Oh, look at that glory thing. That's a glorious, you know. Like, oh, you're really good to cuddle because you're always warm. Yeah, fuck you. Okay, how about that? Huh? Okay, like, I want to be cold. Yeah, I want to hug someone because I'm cold. Yeah, nah, everyone just hugs me because they're cold. Okay, that's what I want, Joe. I want to wear a coat outside and be like, oof, it's a good thing I'm wearing this coat.
Just stop working out and stop eating, and you'll be like me, and then it'll be fine.
Like, I was playing football yesterday, and I was wearing my shorts, and I was like, ooh, it's a little bit chilly. Oof. Like, I should probably have, a pair of tracksuit bottoms now. Oof. Like, yeah. But then it doesn't consistently sell that way, because on my way to football, I was like, this is, like, great weather. Why am I even... I'm going to have to get shorter at this point, That was literally 45 minutes, Joe. Like, consistency here. That's all I'm asking for, man.
But you're also moving about and stuff. Anyway, this is literally just weather talk we're going into. This is, like you say, the most like stereotypically British notion, apparently. Which I don't know. I live in a house with people who are Polish, and either they've become British or they, or this is something Polish people also talk about. They talk about the weather all the time. Like they always mention the weather, like when it's raining and stuff.
Yeah.
They're always like, "Oh, beautiful weather, eh?" It's like, why did I make him sound Canadian? I don't know.
I don't.
I wasn't attempting to go for an accent. I wasn't attempting to go for any accent, but then it came out as Canadian, I guess.
Why did you sound like you went from Fargo?
Yeah.
Like,
real whores are out there.
Oh God, we're gonna die.
I don't know Canadian at all. I can recognize Canadian, but I don't know like what.
But yeah, I don't know why you went Midwestern USA.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think discussing the weather is one of those things where it's a commonality. So then you will pretty much always have you both experience weather. So it's an easy thing to like hold somebody with,
But
great weather.
But this is my confusion. Is it truly something like I don't know, because it's something that comes up at the beginning of a conversation a lot, right? And sometimes it comes up at the beginning of a conversation and the conversation dies not because of the topic you're talking about, but because neither of you actually want to talk, right? Like you're simply happy to just say hello and then continue, which is something I had to learn about because I'm still at the point in my life where if I'm chatting to you, I'm ready to chat about almost anything. I just need permission for the subject to come up. Like I just need permission to be like, so yeah, what do you think about like, like the current war we're in, or what do you think about, like I'm willing to go. I was literally having a conversation about um religion uh and different beliefs and so on, like a few nights ago with some of the people who I'm living with. And it's like, it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm always willing to have that conversation. It doesn't matter who it is or whatever. I'm always ready for that. But I'm aware that, and I'm also aware that this does actually affect me in a way, because sometimes sometimes the point of like small talk is essentially to work out, are we interested in having a conversation or not? Like, that's the kind of bit of small talk I do like, where it's like, oh, okay, let me just politely say to you something so that we can both agree that, like, so that we can both have said, oh, I'm aware that you exist, and we can just move on, right? But then we're also aware at the same time that, like, we've said something, so we don't feel like we have to break the silence in any way. So, like, now we can just move on with our lives. Um, it's only when you have like someone like me who spent most of their life kind of talking with someone and then thinking, I do want to talk with them, but I don't know what to talk about right now, and they don't seem to be like making any adjustment towards talking to me. So now I feel like I don't know whether I should be talking to them or not, which made me hate small talk, if that makes sense, because of that. Because it made me think that people just talk about nothing. But I realized that it's just because most people don't actually want to talk most of the time. And it that's what it comes down to. Like it's just like people want to talk or people don't want to talk, and you kind of figure it out. But no one is like, but we have to have some method or code to be like, hey, like I'm happy to talk to you if you really want to, but I'm not making any effort. And it's like, cool, I'm also not making any effort. We're happy, cool, great,
Yeah,
and we just move on from that.
it's I don't know. I feel like we're missing something with conversation and communication. I feel like it doesn't have to be this difficult, but it very much, like, there's so many hidden meanings and hidden like messages and body language reading. You have to do a lot, and it's like, does it have to be this hard?
Yeah, to be fair, in a way, it's not hard in the sense that, like I said, like the idea of small talk being a sort of code is just essentially to be like, hey, it very clearly states in a way that doesn't make you feel bad that someone isn't interested. But it's the question of how do you come to understand that, right? So if you don't understand that, it seems difficult. Also, all of this stuff is really kind of uncomplicated as long as you don't actually think about it. As soon as you start questioning it, then it becomes complicated, which is the whole thing of like, people seem to gravitate towards these ideas in terms of feel, which I certainly didn't growing up. Like, I didn't have this sense at all. I don't know if you had even a part of that sense, like that in your mind about how conversation should be. But it's only upon inspection that it becomes really complicated because it's somewhat absurd. But it's only absurd for as much as you do or don't understand it and are or are not comfortable with it. Like as soon as you're like, oh, okay, that does work and we can just kind of move on, then you're kind of left thinking, oh, that's fine. In a way, this is a weird like take, but I've literally just come up with it now, so I might be totally wrong. But I think it's probably not that far off of the like the thing that does actually happen, but the stereotype of like, I don't know what to say to a girl. Do you know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah,
Like, I think it's exactly the same thing where it's like the idea of there being rules, or I don't know what I can or should or shouldn't say. I don't know what will make me seem unlikable. Like all of that stuff in the same vein is just, how do I process and discussion with someone, like a talk with someone in the right way that I understand or intuit as being right and is comfortable for me. Like all of those different things at once. It's the same
here's
thing.
another take which I think is weird though as well.
Hmm.
I think if you struggle to talk to girls, there's a good chance. I want to say good 85% chance that you struggle to talk to anyone in general.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I wouldn't be
like,
surprised.
because like, it's just the same. It's the same thing, right? It's the same communication. So if you're like intimidated by the idea of talking to a girl or just really nervous about the idea of it, you're probably nervous talking to everyone in some capacity. Maybe not as much. Maybe they're like a trigger point which goes push your fear like out of bounds to a point where you're paralyzed by it. But you probably are like a bit fucking awkward anyway. Yeah.
Do you think that's? I don't know how. Okay, there's a part of me that thinks that couldn't be. That might not be true all the time because, and I'm partly thinking of myself in this way, but I think that sometimes the problem is a lack of understanding more than it is that you can't talk to people. Because I'm trying to think like, yeah, I've had issues in the past, but I haven't always had issues with talking to people,
Yeah.
if that
Well,
makes sense.
I think
But like if I was talking to a woman that I met in a shop, right? Like if I was just talking to someone random, then I wouldn't be like, oh, this is a woman, oh my god, I must talk in a specific way or whatever. It's only specifically because there's a feeling that I have that, or certainly growing up, where the whole idea about how romantic communication should be is different from how normal communication is, which I think the reality is that that's not true. But the the conversation points around like flirting or just romantic engagement and all of that stuff is all very uh vague, obscure, but at the same time like a real big hype. Like, you know, like there's a lot saying that there's a lot going on here, but probably there isn't really when you get down to it. Um like, you know, if you sound like a shithead when you're talking to someone, you're going to sound like a shithead talking to someone that you want to get with. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't really make a difference in that respect. Um but then there's this other thing on top of it, which is just implying intent to an extent, like implying that you would like someone, or even just straight up saying like, "Hey, I like you" or whatever. Or as I think we've talked about as well, like most of the time it's just, "Hey, if you get along with someone, then being just keep interacting with them positively. That's all you need to do. There's nothing more to it than that. Just treat them like a normal human being." And if you're already if it's going positive, then hey, you're doing the right thing for this person, which means that you're good for one another or whatever, or you both like each other in that respect. But I don't know, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's like an extra layer which is sort of societally placed or culturally placed on the idea of this kind of romantic engagement, which
well
will
yeah, I
mean that
think
some people can be influenced away from actually being good at talking to someone to not being good because they
but
assume
I
that
think
there's a
that's it.
different arena or whatever.
I think it's more there's a target set. So I think when you try and talk to someone whether you like them or not, if you want them to like you, there's a target on thing of the conversation. But like I'm at sparring
Mm.
today. So like I know like, oh, I'm gonna spar this guy. Hey man, how's it going? Let's do this. Yeah, sure. That's it. Like
Yeah.
that's the maximum word I say. We barely ever get around to if I know them a little bit, but oh how you doing, mate? Yeah. Then the buzz will go, we'll try to like to kill each other but not kill each other. So it's like there's no target, but if there's like a let's say you're on the train now and you go, oh, I want to speak to this person because they seem really cool. Like I like her outfit, that. When you talk to her, there's a clear plan of where you want the conversation to go. So there's more of a pressure on it.
Right.
Like, and there's also more you have to contribute. So what you contribute is a lot. Same with if you're in class and you're trying to like be the funny person or whatever, you want to be like. So you have to actually contribute a part of who you are to the conversation, which means, oh shit, this is nerve wracking because say they don't like what I am, like then the conversation becomes very like it's like a game really. Like yes, you finished the level on Sonic, but you only got a C plus because you know you were slow as fuck.
Mhm.
You didn't get
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
fucking gold rings, you know. So it's like you drowned twice, like so. Yeah, I feel like because there's a target of what you want to achieve from the conversation, you just have to be like, there's a lot more at stake. So I feel like, oh yeah, you feel that way. If talking to women is the problem for you there, then you want to be liked the same way that if you're talking to a group of people who might be your friends or like work colleagues or whatever, you want to be liked. So then you're probably going to be nervous, maybe not equally, but you're probably going to be nervous in both.
Yeah, I do. I'd be curious to know how many people have this issue with one and not the other. or more, more with one than the other, right? In general, or whether it's just there is. I'm sure that the tendency will be obviously if you generally have an issue, you'll have a problem specific. But I wouldn't be shocked if there's quite a number of people, especially when you're young, who think, oh fuck, like I'm gonna fuck this up, like I'm gonna say the wrong thing because you're putting so much pressure on a success or failure, like you said, based on an interaction or whatever, right? And the truth is that actually you just need to calm and just
Yeah.
do what you and just do what feels comfortable, as in like do what makes you feel good. And then if it doesn't feel good, then if it doesn't feel good to them or it doesn't feel good to you, then it comes out naturally in conversation. The other thing with that, I suppose, because this is something that actually does relate to me for a second, um, is that apparently I've gone out with people before and they've told me after the fact, a lot of the people telling me are girls. In fact, most of them are, if not all of them. I'm trying to think back, telling me that there was someone that I was speaking to at one point who they said was that liked me and I had no idea, right? So there's also a reading aspect to all of this. Like there's a whole thing of like, I don't know when someone is interested in me or not. Like that's a whole narrative I have to work out of someone else's in someone else's head. Um, and the problem is that whether I thought I probably would have paid attention if I liked them as well. You know what I mean? Like if I in the moment at least was like, oh, I'm looking at you in that way, I would probably notice it more. I'm more likely to, at least. But
Yeah, I know
even
what you
then,
mean.
maybe I would be completely clueless anyway. Maybe I'd still be like, do they like me? I don't fucking know. Like and I just would have completely missed it. And it turns out, oh no, actually no, this person was actually interested in you or whatever. Like random strangers, they just randomly, like uh, on nights out in Bournemouth in particular, um, I would just have people telling me that like, oh, that girl was like dancing with you in a very particularly like in a particular way, and it's like I think I don't respond very well to people who aren't quite explicit.
I don't
Like
respond at all.
yeah, like a girl actively like kissing me, for example, which has happened. Like that was very very obvious that like oh yeah they do actually like me, like they are interested in some way. Turns out, by the way, that that girl was uh with someone, but not. So I had through the university, through a society, I knew they sent me a message like during that night after we split, saying, "Oh God, I don't know. I'm trying to get. I'm still kind of trying to get with my boyfriend. So sorry." Like was basically what she said, and I remember just being like, "Ah, it's all good. I don't care." Which was true. I didn't actually care. I remember telling my house the day after, and they were very offended on my behalf. Apparently, which I was like, like she clearly liked it in the moment. I'm not against it, but like she thought, well, actually, I don't know if I want to pursue that, which makes sense. Like if you're still thinking about the other person or whatever, just weird things like that. But like it was that level of explicit that really fucking helped the situation. That completely changed everything, and it made it easy for me to. Honestly, it made me feel smooth. I mean, I say made me feel smooth. I was still kind of nervous throughout the entire experience because I hadn't had much experience at that point. But I was still like, yeah, it's all good. Like I felt like I was, in a much more mature position than I really am in that respect, which is just quite funny.
Yeah, like I like I just can't read anything, so I need to be told specifically that this is happening.
Illiterate.
Yeah, we could definitely say that. Like
Emotional illiteracy, I feel like is an actual thing, though. Like I feel like a lot of people do experience that
100%.
to some extent.
But it's like
Yeah.
for me, I view it in the same way as like I wouldn't expect people like a lot of people to know how to set up a microphone to plug it in and to use it. Right? You have to educate me on this, but like that is knowing what to look out for. So I know, oh, the microphone isn't working. Maybe this is the problem. Maybe that is the problem. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know what the options are in these other in like social situations. If that makes sense. Like I can troubleshoot a problem. I can't troubleshoot communication. It's like it's like if I mess this up and I get the wrong reading, I'm gonna die. Like
Yeah, I do feel like, and obviously cut this out if you want to, I feel like you, at least in social situations, fare a lot better than I do in this particular arena. Like, I feel like you manage to at least like get past a certain point where you're aware that you're being liked, or you're aware that like there's that kind of communication going on. Because at the very least, somehow all of the people going after you are just way more open and explicit about it. I don't know, but like it feels like there's more clarity for you, at least. Obviously, there's lots of reasons I can think of potentially for why that might be, but I think there is a distinct difference. But obviously, for you, experientially for you, like whether you just feel like you're kind of falling into it all the time, or whether you feel like you actually have some level of awareness while it's happening that like, oh, this is going well or whatever, is kind of.
I think I fall into it. 'Cause a lot of the time
Mm.
is like the main thing I've got back from people is, "Wow, you made me wait." um, like yeah, I was like yeah, like even fairly recently, it's like I was probably like told I thought we were never gonna do it, and and I was like, we still haven't. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, it's like I don't know what to do here. Like there's this is not me saying this happens all the time. They're all over. No, it's
I'll
more
say
like
it. I'll
I
say
couldn't read,
it.
and you can't say it either. Um, it's more like what do I actually do in those situations? There's absolutely nothing. I do fuck all. So if I don't know, I don't know, and they're gonna like. I'm gonna need you to fucking like bust a door down, like in that FBI clip when they smash through the
Yeah.
door. Like that's what I
Ceiling.
need. Yeah, like you got to tell me explicitly. Throw a bucket of water in my face if you have to, and be like, "Hey, I like you, nigga." Like some sort of water.
That's the key to your
Like,
heart. Just call it
yeah,
a racial slur, and you.
yeah. Like buckets of
Remember, oh,
water.
to be clear,
Rachel's
remember
like,
the ER. Don't forget the ER bit. Real
no, it has
on
to be
that shit.
It has to be GA because it has to be trying to fit in. You know,
Oh, I see.
like
I see. I'm sorry. I thought we were going further down the racial slur angle,
no,
not the. Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
I don't do race play. Which is I think the word for it.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't want to condone. I didn't want to condone. Yeah, make good. I didn't want to make good of that. I didn't.
Um,
That's a whole topic that we're not going to talk about on this, but maybe one day with some fetishists we'll talk about it. I don't know.
yeah, I know a few now. I know a few, and they're all war criminals, Joe. Like
Oh,
some
100%.
some of them are all like belong in a prison. It's not that
Mhm.
they're like sexual predators; it's just the things that they get off to. I personally think, you know, hey Alex, don't king shame. As I said before on the show, I will happily do it. like I think that we should just, yeah. But guess what? I don't have to know about it because I'm not searching for it. I'm not looking for it. It's a number of business,
I
and
I
I'll
know
never,
far I know far too much about fetishes and kinks than I should, considering how vanilla I am generally. I think
you
compared
know,
to well, I shouldn't say vanilla like it's like a bad thing. Like maybe I'm making it sound like it is. Like no, I just
yeah,
think
it
like
isn't.
I don't think I have a particular abnormal. I'm not abnormal in any way about like my sexual taste. I feel pretty on pretty standard, you know. And by the way, to be clear, that's like I mean like normal in the sense of straight, gay, lesbian, bisexual, whatever. I don't mean like only hetero. I mean like the like fetish particular stuff, you know. Which I could start giving names and words and just shouting out jargon to you, which you might not even know potentially, but I'm not gonna because it's it's kind of funny, actually. It ends up being more amusing than anything. I think, like, considering that I'm not an ace person, but sometimes I can feel quite sexist on occasion. But at the same, but I always find sex very amusing and funny, even if I don't always feel like super like I don't know sexually interested at any one period of time or whatever. But holy shit, is it funny? And in fact, most of the ace people that I've met in my life are all like that. Every ace person finds sex to be really funny, um, including some actual like people who study fetishes are like ace people, which is staggeringly interesting. Um, Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
we were talking about this though. We were talking about like
yeah, sorry,
presents
big
episodes
tangent.
being
Yeah.
presents episodes being very much a like, because that's what we'll do. We'll actually get professionals of these industries and these lifestyles and all that stuff in to discuss the mental health aspect of all this stuff.
Mm.
Because I know people into this lifestyle, and there's a big element of mental health surrounding it all, because a lot of it is like, care and aftercare and, the planning and all that stuff. So it requires a lot more mental, I guess, it requires a lot more mental care given to yourself, because like you could hook up with a girl from the pub and go, great, we're having fun. Game over, like we have fun, game over, go to sleep, wake up, bye.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to like kink stuff and finding someone to like share those things with, it requires so much more trust, so much more attention given. It's a process. It's a process.
Yeah.
So that's like, those are the things I want to know. It'll be interesting. But also from
Yeah.
other, it's not just sex, but also from other things, again, like I think one that I would love to have in the future would be Dr. Barkley from the
Yep.
Jordan Peterson episode that recorded that I still can't find.
That will never go out. It looks like, because
Yeah,
it's gone to the ether. Fortunately,
it's gone to the ether.
that's so sad as well. Because like, just to give a little, I don't know if we properly explained this, but we recorded an episode, decided that we didn't like it because we didn't like the emphasis of the episode, and then we re-recorded it. Really liked the second version we did, and it's gone. And
I feel like it's somewhere.
you feel like it's somewhere. I mean, you keep looking for it. If you can find it, like maybe we'll, like, I love the idea that it will come out like a year or two from now as just like this hidden archive of. I, I think I had the new mic then, but like back when we were starting out, kind of thing, and I think because that was in probably I think that was in the summer. I think that we recorded that this year, so about 4 months ago, 5 months ago, maybe even no 4 months, yeah. Um, Oh yeah, 5 months ago. Fucking hell, could be 5. It could even be 5. And it's just, yeah, unfortunate. Unfortunate. I had a conversation with Kez actually about like the nature of Presents episodes, because I really like Presents episodes, and I think we talked about how that's kind of a thing we want to do a bit more.
Yeah, we definitely do.
And I don't know about you, but I think I'm getting to the point where I'm somewhat comfortable about talking about almost anything as long as we can figure out what the subject is. In terms of like, I don't think I have a barrier now to talking about certain topics. If there was anything that we did have a barrier about before, that might not be entirely true. But I think that there's certain topics I would rarely not entertain at this point. Which I think was always somewhat the case, but I think maybe there was a bit of reticence at a certain level. But now I think knowing that there are people listening and seem to at least care about the inane shit we talk about, I feel like there might be some interesting conversations that are more, whether it be in depth or whether it just be specifically like, or whether it just be a topic that's a bit darker, might not even be the right word for it, but something that might be at least a little bit more like, not even niche topic, man, I'm just coming up with synonyms that aren't right, but like some sort of topic which is more erring on the side of wouldn't be broadcast. Do you know what I mean? Like as in it wouldn't, or like someone would have to check it to make sure like, okay, that's fine to go on the BBC kind of thing, where it's like, where maybe, because there's so many topics like that, I think nowadays, where we've gotten to the point where societally speaking, you can talk about quite a lot of things, but people generally don't. Like, for example, talking about sort of sexual habits and things like that in terms of like people's personal engagements. People don't want to all the time, but we're not living in a society where we condemn sex before marriage or something like that. You know what I mean? So like the discussion about sex is something that we just kind of generally have more often. Um, and I haven't specifically asked you, Alex, oh, what position do you like or whatever, but I feel like I could have that conversation with you potentially in a way which wasn't me thinking, oh God, like, is this like kind of beyond the pale and so on? And there are lots of people who have these conversations all the time, or and make sex jokes all the time, and like, things that I honestly would think are almost. I think I remember talking about this many, like almost a year ago now. maybe sorry, not almost a year ago. We weren't recording then. Like a long time ago. Sorry, it feels like that long ago, but a long time ago, where I was describing how there's certain like I'm watching adults who are engaging with conversations that I found funny when I was a teenager, but didn't think adults had as conversations. And now I'm an adult, and they are the adult, and they're having the conversation. And I was there was a slight cognitive dissonance that was occurring where I didn't know what was okay to talk about actually, with them, because that seems outside of what like a normal adult talk about. But then you've realized that actually this is quite a consistent narrative across people in your culture or your age group or whatever, and it's not actually that big a deal. I don't know if I was being a bit too vague with everything there. I was trying not to go too specific on anything in that little bit, but I do think that there's a discussion. I do think there's lots of discussions we could have that I personally at this point am not bothered by, within the realm of both the dark and the kind of crude, I guess you could say, as far as like mental health and its relationship to certain topics and subjects.
Could you imagine doing this show and like, I don't know, how old are we again? I'm 20. Are you 28? Yeah, you're 20. Are you 28? Yeah, you're 28.
Yeah, I turned 28 a few weeks ago.
Like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, I've bought you a present.
You have?
I don't know when I'm going. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to actually give it to you yet.
I don't think I've ever given you a present in my life. You're giving me a present?
Like, it's part of the rule I have. Okay, so here's a rule I have, and this is gonna ruin. Like, so it might ruin what the present is. Like, if I buy something for myself, but there is also something that is like there for somebody else, I have to get it. So I do it for football shirts all the time. So if I'm buying a French team's football shirt, like a Marseille shirt, if I have a friend that supports Marseille, I have to also get them a Marseille shirt.
Like, right, I get you. Yeah.
Like, I did it with my ex. Like, she supported like Borussia Dortmund or whatever, right? I got myself a Borussia Dortmund shirt. Oh, guess what? Like, same with like, I did it with like, I think I've done it with all my exes, bar one or bar two.
It's sort of like opportunistic gifting, basically. Yeah.
Like I'm trying to find a very specific Manchester United shirt, but when I buy it, I also have to buy Ryan a Manchester United shirt, which is going to make it funny because I'm going to pick like the worst player possible. I'm going to buy him like Anthony on the back. And that's it. For non-football fans, Anthony cost Manchester United like 80 something million, maybe, or 60 something million, and he has not been very good. He does loads of tricks, and the ball just like disappears from under his feet. He's like, yeah, he's just not been very good. I'm sure he's a great player, but Manchester United are terrible, and he's a product of that shit. So yeah, like I do it for loads of like football related stuff. Like I bought two, like I bought two Cardiff shirts like 3 or 4 days ago because I have a mate who grew up in Cardiff.
Mm-hmm.
It's so like it can be so taxing because if I'm looking for a very niche shirt and I know someone who's also like from that niche country, yeah, okay, sure, like sure, like I'm trying to find a Gibraltar team shirt. And I found the shirt. I'm like, oh, God, why do I have to know someone who was born on Gibraltar?
I think it's a very nice form of gift giving, to be fair. I think I think most people really appreciate, like, I don't know about you, but I've gotten past the point of caring about, I'm not a huge person for gifts anyway. Giving them and getting them, to be perfectly honest. Like, I'm not like I like getting them, but I don't give anything. Like, I'm just not particularly good at giving gifts either, which is a quote unquote weakness, I suppose, on my part. Depends how you look at it. I guess I'm slightly anti-consumery in that way, but I'm also at the same time recognizing but that doesn't mean you just don't buy anything. Well, that's kind of not really the point. But I'm also, but at the same time, like, I think the problem I have is that I don't think about. A lot of gift giving happens at like specific times of the year. Like, it happens in a moment. Like, my mum's birthday is coming up, so I bought her something. But I wouldn't have bought her anything if I didn't know she wanted something. Do you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't, and I still asked her like, "What do you want?" Because otherwise I'll just buy. Otherwise I'll buy her something, but like it's not. But if she had something that she was thinking about already, then you know. So it comes down to a weakness on my part about not knowing like what she wants at any point, and then just being like, "Oh, I'll buy that for you," you know. So like a more spontaneous form of gift giving is, I think, at least a lot more appreciated versus, for me anyway. I think I would also be the same. What compared to like you're buying it because apparently 28 years before this I was born, and that apparently means I should get present.
Yeah. Like
Christmas is a little bit different because it's a more communal event, but yeah, like the
yeah, I don't
similar,
know.
still a similar thing.
When it comes to gifts, I'm very much a I like giving people gifts. I don't know if I like receiving them. I don't get enough of them. I can never remember the feeling of receiving a gift. It's like so like I remember. Yeah, it feels great, but I can't remember the exact feeling I get, whether I hate it or not. But I love giving gifts. I think it's really fun. But small gifts, like the little things. I'm not spending £150 on you because
No,
no. But that being said, if I found like a certain shirt, like on top of football shirts, right? Like if I see like Ryan really loves this footballer called Andre Kanchelskis, and I said to myself, look, there's only 3 people I know who want like a very specific shirt. My friend Casey wants the Tottenham like 2014 shirt, I think it is. I'm like, if I see those shirts, I just gotta throw it in, like within reason. Like if it's £100 or £200, do you know what? Fuck it, man. Put it on the credit card bill. Like you don't see this every day. Fuck it.
uh,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like if I see like a Lithuania shirt and it's like signed by the players, well, I know 2 Lithuanian people, but like Kez and one of my
mm.
exes, I kind of have to buy it and give it to one of them. like hopefully it only costs like £50 because Lithuania ain't very good at football. But
I
still,
was going to say a basketball player or a football player because it's different.
yeah, a football player. Like
Football
I
player,
have
okay.
like 3 Lithuanian football shirts. I've never really been bothered to, one, give them to someone anyway because they were unopened, and 2, actually wear them. So I might have to actually try and wear them now.
I don't know what their kit color is, but the Lithuanian flag is a nice set of colors. Yellow, green, red is just nice. So I don't know what the uniform is like, but it's
I
just
can't wait, man, for this show to be like big and for the comments on the episodes to be like, he literally spent 20 minutes talking about football shirts.
The thing is, though, is that even until I went with you to the place where they sell football shirts in London it's near Brick Lane, but it's not in Brick Lane. Where is it again specifically? It's
It's what's that place called? Aldgate.
Aldgate, yeah. Like until I went there with you, I did not. Obviously, I've seen you in football shirts a lot, but I didn't quite realize just how many different football shirts you have, and just how many you have gotten, and that there is a shop where people go to buy football shirts from, like, not from a specific team, just football shirts in general, and that's the fashion that people have. I didn't realize that. So, like, you talked for it for as long as you have, but people don't realize that this is like a thing this is like you going to like some high fashion superstore in terms of this is your style. This is how you
So
express yourself.
I went for this is gonna sound terrible. I went for like lunch with a girl I dated like very briefly. And we're still like really good friends. So we went for lunch to some like Asian style restaurant. And as like I walked in with her, Classic Football Shirts was right next door. And I was like, it's fine. I don't need to do it. I don't need to go there. It's fine. Life is great. It's great. And we all sat, and my friend noticed that I was very much not paying full attention, which is, again, that's a major sign. That's like when I'm not paying full attention to you in a conversation, something's wrong. Like, start waving all the flags. Like, is he gonna die? Like, what the fuck? Because that's like my main focus is paying attention to what you're saying,
Right.
especially in a face-to-face conversation. So she's like, "You want to go there, don't you?" And I was like, "What the fuck?" She's like, you want to go to the football shop? And I was like,
I'm just imagining you, and for some reason, I'm imagining you with your glasses on now, even though I haven't seen you, even though like you don't always have them. I just imagine you with your glasses on and your eyes like wide open, just like flicking from her face to like the shop, her face shop, her face shop, and it's so consistent. Like, no, look up left,
uh,
and then just looking at her side, and then she just turns around. And she's like, "You want to go to a shop, right?"
like, remember the scene? I think I posted it. Like, hopefully you do remember. This is a terrible comparison I'm making here. But do you remember
Yeah.
the World War II film Downfall? When Hitler is like,
Oh
realizes he's
yeah,
losing the war.
yeah.
The hands just tremble. I just imagine like my hands just like that, take off the glasses.
For those who don't know what we're referring to, if you know the Hitler talking about X, which is like a sort of meme thing where like this downfall film has this very particularly Ostraken Freya. I can't eat an Ostraken Freya. And then like there's this
Every
very
German wants to
specific
kill you.
yeah, this is very specific scene where Hitler's in his bunker and the generals have come. I think it's describing how like they're being attacked on both sides now, or whatever it was. Like I think that Stalin's attacked, right, or whatever it is. It's one of those things.
Yeah, pretty much
But
they're fucked.
yeah, they're fucked, and then and Hitler's kind of already reached this point of madness. By the way, if you haven't seen Downfall, it's actually a very good film. But this particular, and I saw the actual film as subtitled correctly, but there's a meme version which is just like that scene just subtitled with a completely different thing, talking about whatever topic, and he's just getting pissed off about something. But yeah, so if you know, that's what he's referring to specifically. But if you don't, then it's still worth watching.
Then we're
It's
just
very
Nazis
good.
to you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Nah, so but yeah, like that. So
You're just shaking,
yeah,
taking the
I was just
glasses off. You're like,
it's just I
looking
was
at the
like,
map.
oof. I was like, oof, we never were an actual couple here. Like we went on a few dates and you know me this well. That's a dangerous I don't like you. Like I was like, nah, like you know, I'm gonna do big like care package delivery online, which I did do by the way. I spent £100 poverty.
Okay.
Um
Poverty.
I like
Oh, you're doing fine right now. Fine.
you
I mean, you're
know,
okay at least.
yeah, true. But like it's the thing.
When you eventually move, you won't. But
Oh yeah,
until
true.
then, you're all right.
But it's like we walked out the shop and I couldn't help it. I just took a little sideways glance towards it. And she knew straight away. She was like, we can spend 25 minutes. I was like, oh my God, please. And I literally like skipped to the to the store. It was really like oof, like if I think she'd listen. Like if there was any chance of us being in a relationship at that point, the minute I started skipping to the football store, it died. Like it died, and I was so happy. It was great. The thing is, it makes it even better. She brought a football shirt.
How,
So
how well did you know each other before you went on this date? By the way.
fairly well, because
Okay, yeah. Did you meet on an app, or did you just know each other before then?
we met on an app, but we realized we knew each other outside of it. It was really fucking weird.
Oh, that's really strange. Okay.
Yeah, like
You didn't recognize each other on the app.
no, that's the thing. Because it used to be when this was like we've known each other for a good 7, 6 years now.
What?
So it's like, yeah. Like we're not like the tightest of friends. It's just one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, I'm about, and it's like it's one of the weird like the normal relationships I have with people because it's like everyone is either like a really close friend or I don't know them at all.
It was someone who it was you two kind of orbited
Yeah. Like, oh, that's
round
it.
other
So, like,
people,
the
basically.
original how we know each other because I was like it was the Adam and Eve pub is how we like would.
Yes, Adam and Eve.
So
Yeah.
I went to the pub quite a bit with you, with like the Sunday League team I play for, and we'd always see each other and we'd always have a brief conversation. And then when I was playing like Sunday League is where we were speaking like back and forth a little bit. And then on, I think it was either Hinge or Bumble, we matched, had no idea, went out on a date. Towards the end of the date, we were walking effectively towards the direction of the Adam and Eve with no intention of going there. And we're like, oh, I go to the pub all the time. Oh, so do I. And we're like, do you play in like stripes and black and white? I'm like, yeah. Oh, we were literally speaking last week. I was like,
That's a
so
very that's impressive, honestly. Like,
yeah, but that's
I,
it. Like that's all the our luck has taken us. Like
yeah. To be fair, the reason why I asked anyway was just because I was interested because I feel like that moment where you're looking so lovingly at the shop and she's watching you do that is so much easier when you already know each other. Like when you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
like when you get one another already, it's so much easier. I feel like so much of the difficulty with kind of romantic stuff always comes from the fact that if you like someone, there's so much investment on your part to try and make it work or make something happen, whether or not you need to, if you know what I mean. Like, I guess a question of you need to is a very kind of obscure one because should you ever need to is kind of, I guess, a bit of a question because if you're both putting in even a modicum of effort, then it will work, right? So you don't need to go up and you don't need to go like over the board with everything because if they're not giving you anything, then it just won't work out. But I'm just imagining in my, but somehow there's somehow something about knowing someone. Like I can think of friends who, like people who I wouldn't go out with, but I'm just imagining if I did go out with them on a date kind of thing, and it was not working out. I think during the date we would just be like, yeah, this wasn't, yeah, like we were right the first time that this wasn't going to work out. That's why we were friends. You know what I mean? Like we just kind of like
yeah.
get on with it, and it feels comfortable that way. Um, and I don't
Those are
know.
the best.
That sounds great, honestly.
Those are the
but
best because it's just sort of like existing in a space where there's safety, with no real
yeah,
ever like expectation of like anything else really.
I
Like,
definitely wish years ago that I understood that, like
but you
with
understand it now
some
though.
of the people. I do, but I also don't because I mean, how do I explain this? I haven't like been interested in. That's actually not true though. I was interested in her, but that would never went anything further because she was with someone already. Um, but like I'm just thinking in my head like there's a lot of I haven't like felt super like I guess I haven't felt quite as like you know what's the word for it, like taken by someone. Maybe that's the right way of saying it, where like I can really feel it in my chest and all that stuff. That might be fair in part due to like hormones and age. Like I'm just not when I was younger, it would overtake my entire senses and I'd be incredibly nervous at like a level even in my early 20s. Whereas now maybe I'm never like I still like there was someone that I really there's someone I can think of right now who I really like. There's nothing going to happen with them, but I'm always like, yeah, I really would like to. Like it's a shame. Like I'm thinking in my head, like, oh man, I'm like many years missed of this of anything
Yeah,
happening
yeah, yeah,
here.
yeah.
But whatever. Who are you taking a picture of? Well, no,
I
don't
took
take
a
a dick pic.
screenshot
Don't
on
take
my
a dick
phone.
pic.
Yeah, that's it. Like,
This is the moment I've decided.
no, I took a screenshot on my phone of a message that I need to forward to Ryan.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Relating to this actually. But
Oh,
yeah, like,
oh yeah. Okay, fair.
um, my favorite friendships I have are platonic relationship with somebody of a different like thing to me, different gender, different
I
like
100%
sexuality or
agree.
whatever.
Actually, yeah,
Mainly just because there's like I think it's because a lot of the friends I have now, the core group, like yourself, like cares, everybody else, like cares times two, like and the other core like group of people in my life, like there's very little expectation of what the friendship should be. But the mid road ones, the ones where like you know each other, you see each other a lot, you talk to each other a lot, but
yeah,
like they're more like there's like kind of have to act a certain way with anyone who's like of a different like different, I don't know what you call it, sexuality or gender to you, whatever. When you're the levels of closeness needed to be open is a lot lower, I feel like. So you can make like the dumb, stupid jokes. You can call each other out, and there's no like ego difficulty about it. There's very like you learn about how to deal with things from their viewpoint as well, and it's just better. You know, it just broadens your life a little bit, I guess. You know.
Yeah, I do. I enjoy having friends who are women for sure. I think that like has always been like I think that was a very nice experience to. I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but like I think especially because a lot of the conversations I end up having are kind of no different than the ones I have with any like male friends or friends who consider themselves men or whatever. Because but the ways in which it's different is specific to them. It's not specific to their gender or their sex. You know what I mean? Like you just kind of realize that like, oh, I can have a conversation about something that doesn't feel like I could that in normal circumstances, or actually not even normal, but like I guess I grew up thinking and feeling was a way I had to be. Again, how you have to be with women versus, you know, the actual reality of like women aren't any different, and that this is also like a pass down from history, right? Like this is a historical phenomenon that this is how you have to be or whatever. And to be fair, I can see certain communities in and different cultures and different places in the world where that does still exist. I can even mean in England or like or America or the US or you know wherever that there are just kind of spaces where that still does exist to a certain extent. And at the end of the day, you can kind of play with that or not. Like I think the truth is that we're realizing at a certain level is that even if there is a space where like hey the way you talk to a woman should be different to how you talk to a man or whatever from that perspective, I like if you disagree then don't play by the rules, and if they don't work and if they don't like that you don't play by those rules, then move move to somewhere where you don't have to play by the rules, because there are lots of spaces that don't, right? But it's specifically with that I'm thinking of, because I do find that with my friends at least, like there has never been an issue. You know what's actually crazy? Before we finish this episode, I'm going to call her out slightly on this, but I'm not even really calling her out. I just found it incredibly unsurprising when I heard this, only because of the idea I had about this person that I didn't think they would answer this way. So when I'm saying calling out, I don't really mean it, because I just mean that it just shocked me, and I don't know if this is an unusual take or whatever, right? For me to have about this particular person. You can maybe give me an idea given what you know about them, right?
Yeah.
I asked, I can't remember when this was. This was a decent while back, but I remember my brother was there, my mum was there, and at least two of my aunties, but I can't remember if it was more than that, were there. And I remember asking, and I think also like my other brother was there, and I think I said like, um, do you think men and women can be friends, like normal friends? And I remember my mum said no. And I was shocked by this personally. Like, she might hear this. Like, I was shocked at the time. She might disagree now with what she said. I don't know. But I remember thinking like that I was slightly shocked by that, because I just assumed that she wouldn't say that. Given like how she is about lots of different things, I assumed that she would just kind of feel like in a more sort of egalitarian sense, I guess. I don't know how to describe it other than that there wouldn't be that issue. But she just said that like in her experience that she found that it was not really, that it just never happened. Like it wasn't possible. That there would always be some point where one person would like the other person and it wouldn't work, or it would get weird or something like that, which I found I found really unusual when I heard her say it. Because, and am I right? Am I weird about thinking of that, given that it's my mum particularly?
I don't know. I think maybe it's attitudes that change with times, right? Like it could just be like,
Yeah, it could be
yeah,
that as well.
in that realm. Like for example, my mum's male friends, they're all gay because that's like as my mum said, like they're those the only men you're friends with. Like you know,
Mm.
um, so it's like cool, but I don't know anyone who's like in there like. Well, my mom has like friends. Yeah, yeah. My mom do have friends who are male who are like map. But they've been friends for like years, and it's from somewhere like originally. But I don't think there's that same dynamic of friendship. Maybe I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
like.
I guess I should be clear about it. I mean, in very much in the context of like they're friends and they're both single, I guess, and are both
That's
like
what I mean. Like,
and
yeah,
are both people who would it would make sense. It wouldn't be like against anything for them to get together. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, as long as we agree on the parameters, like that was the idea going on. And I thought that was unusual, but I don't know how many people kind of feel that way. Whether or not people agree whether that's true or not, right? I think there might be a lot of people who say, yeah, but I also do struggle. You know, like I struggle to have men who can just be my friends or whatever. Or I fail to, because, you know, the same thing could be asked. What's interesting about that statement is that it's not really about like the genders or whatever, because because you could talk to someone who's gay and say the exact same thing and say, can you just be friends with people of your sex/gender? And if they say yes, then why is that different then? Like, or if everyone would agree, oh well, surely a man can be friends with a man even though they're not going to get together, and even though they're not going to get together. But then that doesn't make sense, like following the logic. So it's either, like you say, like a very particular, like it's just a kind of a particular like generation or thing, or maybe it's even just like, hey, yeah, maybe you do end up liking this person, but then you kind of even like you end up coming away from that being like, hey, let's just be friends, and then you end up being really good friends afterwards, and you just kind of deal with it, you know. And maybe nowadays we're just I shouldn't say nowadays, because I don't think that's true nowadays that we're better at it or not. But I think nowadays we expect that a bit more. We expect that maybe we should be just trying to be happy with one another, and that we shouldn't expect that only those kind of romantic relationships should exist, which then makes the moments where the awkward portion happens suddenly be so awkward, I guess. I don't know. This is almost like outside of mental health. There's a part of mental health that definitely applies to a lot of the things we've talked about today. But I definitely think there's almost like a kind of separate sociological like like cultural thing going on about how we relate to one another. And it's definitely always been an issue for me, that kind of weird divide. And I just found, I think I think the fact that my mum, of what I know about her, her lived experience is one thing, but I think even then she still says no, or like, I just don't think it would work, says so much, especially considering I have female friends and she's met them. You know what I mean? Like, and there hasn't been that kind of weirdness at all. Like, certainly not now. Like, whether I liked them before in the past or never liked them before in the past, it doesn't make a difference. And like, we just have a relationship that's fine, that's platonic. And I just wonder if there's something to that that's kind of, I don't know. I don't know. That's I'm curious. I'm curious what people actually think themselves, as well as what they feel is actually happening in their life. Because I can see the
Yeah,
difficulty, but
yeah. Like, it'll be nice to actually. I think these are conversations that are eventually going to be brought up again, and we'll probably have to deal with
yeah,
like a lot of comments. Yeah,
yeah. I'm chucking this right on the end of the episode, just to, you know, like for all of those people who've listened through the whole way through, like
thing is,
just for
all the
them
people
to
who
think about.
comment on the episode, they just tell me in person. I'm like, write the comment on the thing. It's like, no, because you're gonna read it and then you're gonna message me to respond to it. So what's the point? And I was like, you're right. You're right. Do you want to go to the football shop?
All right, let's wrap up. Let's wrap up.
We're gonna take two
Take
steps
two
to the
steps to the
rear.
rear
You're going to prison, Joe.
and get. Oh, come on! I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it with you. That's
Fine.
good for you.
We're gonna take two steps to the
Two steps to the
rear
rear.
and get out of here.
Get out of here.
We're in the wind.
We're in the wind.
See ya.
See ya.